All right, everyone. After a winter and a half, I finally have a chance to test the snow traction of the Michelin Pilot All Season 4. They are the latest generation or current generation of Michelin's high-performance all-season tire, and so far they have been great in the dry, the wet, the ride quality, the handling, steering response, everything. The winter conditions are where we haven't had a chance to test it, because last year, all winter of 2022 to 2023, we got a total of one coating, like a dusting, which is not really a good way to test any tires. So today we're getting some good snow. There's already about maybe 2 inches on the ground. It's a steady snow on the light side, and it's supposed to snow the rest of the day. So I'm taking the opportunity to test out the G37 with these Michelin Pilot All Season 4 tires. Now, I do not expect them to perform excellent, because they are not a snow tire or a tire that is severe snow rated like a all-weather tire. They are a high-performance, an ultra-high-performance all-season tire. And so therefore, there is a compromise somewhere based on how happy we've been with these tires in all other conditions. I expect them to honestly, you know, be a little bit disappointing, or kind of what I expect for the average all-season tire in these conditions. So this road that we live on has currently not been plowed yet, and just had some traffic on it. So there is some slush and some snow and some tire grooves and things like that. I'm going to put it through a couple of different scenarios and road conditions and see what we find. These Michelin Pilot All Season 4, they have been great in the dry. They have excellent dry traction. They have been great in the wet, and actually they're very close to the summer tires I had on my Cayman as far as wet traction. I was very impressed with them in a moderate to heavy rainstorm. I was hustling the car pretty hard to find the limits of traction, and they did not disappoint. They handled great. They evacuated water well, and I was extremely satisfied with their wet traction. Their steering response and handling and ride feel is very good as well. The Pilot All Season 4 is designed to be a high performance tire, and it has a stiffer sidewall to give you better steering response. All right, so I've got an empty, untreated parking lot, and this is a great place to check a couple of things. When I turned into the parking lot, immediately lost traction, like now. I didn't add much throttle to it, but sliding started right away. I have all safety aids on, so when this car is just traction control and VDC, or vehicle dynamics control, which is stability control. And then this car also has a snow mode, which is actually designed for conditions like this parking lot, where there's a couple of inches of snow and no dry traction. But when I turn in, I get understeer, just like any all-season tire, and then I have wheel spin with acceleration. Before I get too many tire tracks in here, I'm going to switch over to snow mode. So let's see how snow mode goes. It is now activated, and when I make a turn, still understeers, because I believe snow mode just affects throttle input. But yeah, I don't really feel much difference. Braking isn't that great. Yeah, I honestly don't feel much difference with snow mode, so I'm not quite sure how beneficial it is. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of ABS intervention because the traction is just not there. I'm not trying to slide this car right now. So these are pretty marginal in the snow, which I guess is kind of to be expected for the conditions we're in and the type of tire they are. Again, they're ultra high performance all season tires, so all tires are a compromise of something. A winter tire is going to compromise in warm temperatures and dry conditions, but excel in conditions like this. And so, you know, no tire is perfect. The importance of taking a drive like this is to find the limitations in a controlled condition. You don't have to be anywhere. You don't have distractions going on. Whenever I have a new set of tires and it's a fresh snow day like this, I always try to find time to take a drive in a no pressure situation. That way I can check things like how does it brake? What happens when I turn in? What happens when I try to accelerate? What happens when I try to turn through an intersection like back there a minute ago? The front end pushed and then the rear came around again. You can be prepared in a situation because you have an idea what to expect from the car and the tires based on the conditions. Some people try to avoid driving in the snow at all conditions. I disagree with that thought process, because if you avoid it at all costs and then have to go somewhere, if anything happens, you will be unprepared and not have the information you need to anticipate what could happen in an emergency situation like braking or turning. For this specific car, it is rear-wheel drive by default, and then when there is slip detected, it will transfer torque to the front as well. The instinct is to, when you detect slip, to let your foot off the gas and hit the brakes. In fact, sometimes it can be helpful to do a couple of things. One, maintain your throttle input so the car is getting continuous input, or maybe reduce throttle input but still have some throttle applied. That will allow the front tires to get the power from the all-wheel drive system and engage and help you correct the slide. It's kind of counterintuitive, but in a system like this that is not full-time all-wheel drive, that's what you want to do. In a system like Audi Quattro or Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, they are always sending power to all four wheels, and there's no delay there. So in a system like this, it has its benefits and it has its downfalls. They all do. The benefits to this one is it drives like a more rear-wheel drive sports car in dry conditions. But the downside is you have that delay for the all-wheel drive intervention. Yep, and I started braking early because this is not good snow for traction, and the tires are doing their best. The other thing that I recommend doing while you're out on this reconnaissance drive, turn off the traction control, and that will, during the same driving conditions I was just in, where they're controlled and not in an emergency, it will help you to understand how the car behaves, and also sometimes it can help you actually control the car better. Once you know how the car responds to certain things, sometimes having the traction control on can actually inhibit you from having best control you can. Once you know how to control the car or what its behaviors are, sometimes it just gets in the way. So now I have the traction control turned off, and this is going to be a more treated road, so I'm going to try to find some more roads like we were just on that are less treated. And this road is completely plowed. This road is just wet. It's very well maintained. It's been plowed, it's been heavily salted. Not what I was expecting, to be honest. I thought it would look more like the last road we were on. All right, so this must be a different township or something, because the road is now not as well maintained. It's just slush now. This road does get a little windy for a couple of seconds up here in a bit, which is why I chose it. It can be a fun drive on a dry day. Gotta brake for this turn, I know that much, because I'm not gonna have much traction. If I maintained my speed, I would have gone off the road. But I also am trying not to test them on this windy section. It may not look so windy in the camera. The camera always dilutes how windy a road is or how fast a car is going. It's something many people that record car videos struggle with, trying to convey the sense of speed. So believe it or not, I'm almost doing the speed limit through these corners. It seems to handle the slush okay. Oh, there we go. Now I did have very low traction back there, but that was kind of what I expected. There was a lot of snow and slush there in the intersection. I had the traction control off. I accelerated like I would on a dry day, and it did exactly what I thought a rear-wheel drive car would do. Is the rear end came around, the front end then got power from the all-wheel drive system, and it pulled it in, and I kind of did like a swapper there, but it regained itself, and the all-wheel drive pulled itself out of the slide. No traction. That was all ABS. It took me a long time to make the decision about what tires to put on this car. Ideally, I wanted to go with a set of full summers and full winters because I know the benefits of that. I know that my wife and I both like to have a high performance tire in the dry and wet during the summer and spring and fall, because we like to drive. We are drivers, and you know, she has a sports sedan for a reason. I had a sports car for a reason. We love to drive, and so therefore we want the most out of our cars. However, a couple of factors deterred me from getting full winters and full summers. First being, obviously, we've had these tires for over a year and a half now. This is the second winter that we've had them, and this is the first time we really had a chance to drive it in the snow. And so while winters are not only good for the snow, they're also good for cold temperatures and rain and, you know, mixed conditions. That's what they're designed for as well. A lot of times you're just driving around on dry pavement when it's cold, and you're not taking full advantage of a winter tire. I had thought about going with all-weather tires because they are snow rated like an all-winter tire, but they're all season. But the thing is, you can't get a performance version of that, and so we would be lacking you know, the dry grip that we were looking for. And so my compromise was, since she doesn't really drive in this bad weather very often, to go with a ultra high performance all season and just be super careful in bad conditions like this, because the tires are not designed to handle this very well. And that's probably been the overall best choice for our situation. Now, if we lived farther north and we got more snow, like if we lived in the mountains or something like that, I would have definitely gone with 2 full dedicated tires of summer and winter. But that's just not where we live right now, and so for our use case, you know, this is the best scenario, so we can have the performance tire we want, and then just know that we're making a compromise during the winter. All right, so I'm going to finish out this drive. Let me know your thoughts, ask me your questions. Do you have a G37 and you're trying to consider what tires to buy, or do you have these tires and are looking to see how they drive in the snow because you haven't had a chance to? What questions you have for me about a G37 in the snow or anything like that? This is the 4th set of tires we've had on this car, and they're the ones we like the best so far during differing conditions year-round. So ask me your questions, let me know your thoughts, and until next time, enjoy the drive.